I upgraded my desk. After 6 years using a cramped desk in cramped rooms, we finally built a permanent setup where I could produce and play comfortably. I really wanted to give myself more space than the small L shape of my IKEA desk could provide, and I needed to get my wire management under control. It was bad. But I also wanted the ability to just stand up and move around. I wanted a riser for more space. I wanted mountable areas for my monitor arms, and most importantly, I needed to be able to mount my computers under my desk. Luckily, this bad boy had it all. So he spent a couple days building up a pristine workplace, only for one of the PCs to die in the process. This video is not sponsored. Nothing here was sent by a company. Except for this keyboard, this was sent by Corsair. But it's not part of this video, it's not an ad. This is gonna be a look at what I put on my desk for editing videos, for playing Star Citizen, and for kicking back, and how it came together despite the always present tech issues that haunt us every build. Anyways, thank you for coming to my tomato talk. So I've been playing games like Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, and Satisfactory for a pretty long time, among other games. And during all that time, I've stuck to a mouse and keyboard. While I had some stream decks, I never really took advantage of those outside of minimal stream and recording controls, but just recently a gracious viewer, Hap, reached out and gave us a few key items, notably a few larger stream decks, some loop decks, and a Peripheral control panel. I have no idea what to do with this yet. It was at this moment that a small inkling that we needed more space suddenly blossomed into a full idea, as I was already knocking over tea on my desk during my streams anyways. And that's where the Secret Lab Magnus Pro XL comes in. This ridiculously heavy, pretty stupidly expensive desk is entirely made of metal, acts as a giant magnet, hides away all your cables, and comes with a bunch of accessories that get everything I wanted done, as well as a huge ecosystem of 3D printed parts you can get online, but we'll get to that later. Seriously, who doesn't like a magnet? This whole thing took me days to set up, and even longer to get wired. I'll be releasing a behind the scenes videos for supporters soon that'll lay out kind of the whole process, but I'm going to tell you the main difficulties here, including that PC that died. Because I wanted to use two PCs with this build so that I could keep streaming, I ended up needing to run wires down supports across monitor arms all the way around the desk to other computers. There was USB cord after USB cord that ended up not being long enough to actually help us with this build, but you really don't see a lot of those cords because of the way the desk is built. Almost every mount I got, from the Secret Lab ones to the Elgato mounts, was able to hide their own cables, and the actual cable tray in the back was big enough to hold all my huge spaghetti mess slightly out of view. It is still in view, and it still looks like spaghetti. Maybe I'll clean that up someday. But the accessories I did get with the desk helped me to keep most of the wires out of the way, went the extra mile in helping to eliminate these last bits. These small magnets allow me to mount cables to the underside of the desk easily, or to the side where I have a little cable charger mounted over here I can just pull out whenever I want. And I was actually able to order this 3D mounted part here from Ecosyn Creations on Etsy that lets me mount my headphone DAC to the underside of the desk, and I'm already eyeing one for a stream deck that I think I'm gonna put over here when I'm flying. Might actually already be there by the time I publish this video. But I really wanna highlight the biggest cable mess eliminator on this desk, and it is the PC cradles that go underneath. These cradles actually keep the PC connected when the table is lifted. It's really important if you're putting it up in the air. And since the cables are tucked away in the back of the desk, you just slap a couple of the cable covers that I got with the desk over the legs, and you're pretty much set. Those are also magnets. And while of course you can do this with all kinds of setups, you get me with the magnets. I really love the magnets. I like the way that this all came together. The desk riser also provides some much needed space for the eyes. And the stream decks I use to control the stream, recording, and peripherals can fit right in underneath so that I'm not losing any desk space, even if I want to put something up next to my screen. And then there's something else I've always wanted, the crotch shot. An overhead mount, or the crotch shot. While I'm still learning how to make use of this on my stream, I've always wanted to show what's actually happening on the desk, especially if I'm getting more controls, or the crotch shot. And eventually I mount my flight sticks to that chair, and maybe I'll get good. I don't know. And although this one did call for a 15-foot long USB cable to reach the computer, we now do have the nice controls view, or the crotch shot. The one issue I did have setting this up is that the desk riser barely has enough clearance underneath to mount stuff to it. So you both can't open your cable tray once you've made that mount, and you really gotta force the mount to work to get it attached to the desk riser. But it does, and it has added a nice detail to the gaming and workspace. Outside of general cable management and some general space-saving practices, I have my Rodecaster on the side here, handling my audio routing between the two PCs and actually acting as the biggest contributor of wires, as well as a loop deck that connects all the way around to the main PC so I can use the dials and buttons in various programs while I'm editing. This is actually pretty convenient because of that dial and button combo. I almost grabbed a Blackmagic editor a while ago, but I do think with some tinkering, this little device is going to meet all my needs. On the monitor side, I actually got rid of the monitor that would be up here on a vertical mount. I didn't want to crane my neck all the time to look up anymore, and I wanted to keep my main monitor centered with just one off to the right over here. But I had a trick. See, the Elgato teleprompter can also act as a second monitor when I'm not using it to read chat or recording videos. So even though I keep a space empty for the camera and teleprompter, I can still have another monitor over there. Funny enough, because of that placement, I really did not want to have my microphone arm coming from the same exact spot. And when I ordered a new mic arm in white to match the desk, the wrong arm was sent. I was kind of bummed because it didn't fit under the desk riser. But then I got the mistake remedied, and the actual arm I wanted ended up fitting in perfectly, letting me save even more space on the side and using the desk riser. And that finally brings us back to this keyboard I mentioned. See, while I was building this, we actually came across some correspondence from a Corsair representative that had reached out earlier in the year, and he wanted to send us the Galleon 100 ST keyboard. So we said okay. It is a keyboard with a Stream Deck attached. It's a great addition for somebody I think who has a lot of different control needs, whether it's streaming or playing games or navigating productivity apps. And it did help me out with some of my more forgotten key bindings in Star Citizen, and the controls end up being really convenient. But the setup is a lot. And I think that's the biggest thing you need to think about when you're getting into anything that has to do with controls or anything custom is a lot of it is the setup. See, I'm not really here to recommend this one to you. I think it's a niche product. I think it's a good product, but not for everyone. I do wish it was in white though to match the direction of this build. After wrapping up the rest of the room, finalizing our lighting, getting sound insulation up, we were ready for the first boot up when the streaming PC wouldn't start. We've all built a PC, had that moment when the PC is supposed to post and then there's always the chance that something goes wrong and one of those lights stays on and you just kind of sit there staring at it. I have that far too often. But if you paid attention, you'll notice I never even opened up the PCs while I was doing this build. While confusing, as one must, I went through the troubleshooting process. I cleared the CMOS, reseated the RAM, checked the CPU headers, all the things, you know? Nothing worked. So I did what any good PC building husband would do. I found that 5600X I had put in my wife's PC, and I stole it. Only to find out that the legendary 5950X that was in my PC was completely dead. It had committed Sudoku and overheated itself, or something. While it was a painful thing to come across at the end of an already expensive build, it was pretty nice to boot up my streaming PC and not hear a leaf blower with a loose impeller inside. And I realized things were going to be even better going forward. Hey, what's a couple $100? We just now need to get Mrs. Tomato a CPU because she misses her Sims and Civ. By the time everything was built though, I already wanted to make changes. Of course. But it's been about a month of using this build by the time this video comes out, and I have no real big complaints outside of the multitude of improvements I want to make someday. The number one being a UPS for safer power delivery. Once I have my VKB sticks set up on the chair, which I'll be covering in another video soon, I'll be trying to get this linked into the system. I may be biased coming from a constant reshuffling of setups every 4 to 6 months over the last 7 years, but the fact I can fit most of my work and personal life on this single desk now and have space left over, and the fact that it can move to preset heights as needed and mount all the stuff that I want just about anywhere, it means I'm going to be using this for decades, as long as the electronics hold up. I'm pretty happy with this setup, and I hope it helps me make some more interesting content for you guys as we enter a new stage of our life with a new baby on the way in August. And honestly, that's part of this. This is all a little spontaneous. As I said, brought on by a lovely gift, yes, but mostly pushed by Mrs. Tomato for the sake of getting our work in order before our life gets turned upside down later this year. But I do realize how much a good comfortable space for you can change how you feel about just wanting to play or work. Maybe this isn't the desk for you, but I'd highly suggest taking some time to see how you can make your space more comfortable for yourself, whether it's adding a plant, moving around some wires, maybe just changing up the room a little bit. It genuinely can make gaming, working, just kind of chilling and relaxing just feel better. Thank you for watching this all the way until the end. I hope you got something out of it and learned something new. And if you'd like to check out my more thorough thoughts on the Galleon keyboard and kind of how it's been going so far, I'll leave that video linked for you after this so you can go check it out over on Space Tomato 2. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next.